Welcome back. Casey at the Bat and many poems use a ton of figurative language because it gives authors an opportunity to pack a lot of information in a small number of words, but it does make us as a reader have to really kind of work, think, and analyze what's the impact of that language choice and how does figurative language help me better understand key events within the text. So as we look back at Casey at the Bat, and we talked about figurative language yesterday, the different types, we went back over and reminded ourselves that a metaphor and simile compared to unlike objects, using like or as if it's a simile or not using like or as a metaphor. We talked about personification. We've talked about exaggeration through hyperbole and all of these things. So now we're going to analyze how the author uses that within the text. I identified the type of figurative language for you because I don't always think it's important that you have to know the difference between an analogy or an extended metaphor versus whatever. But I am going to ask it is important though as a reader that you can tell what an author is doing and how that impacts the story. So we're going to do the first one together because I do think that the author used a ton of really great figurative language in this text, and I want you to see it and kind of think about it as well. So when I look at one of the lines 3 and 4, they start figurative language quite early. And then when Cooney died at first and Barrows did the same, a pall-like silence fell upon the patrons of the game. So when I look at this phrase, these lines, when I think about people who died and this pall-like silence is like what you would hear at like a burial or a funeral. So in this case, as I go ahead and look, I'm trying to think if they even have that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to consider how is this extended metaphor? How does that help me better understand the text? So as I go and I record my long answer, I know that if this is people are dying and it's talking like a burial, people are really depressed and sad at this game and the way that they think it's going to turn out. So this is an extended metaphor. How did it help you understand? This metaphor shows that this baseball game or losing this baseball game is like losing someone you love or a funeral. The author compares outs to deaths, and the silence of the crowd shows how severe and important this game is to everybody. They actually didn't think that they had much hope at the very beginning because of the fact that they had people who were not very good up to bat. So that's how I'm going to go ahead and identify or think about this first example. It's again, they died, Paul-like. This game is like or being compared to a funeral. It's super important to people, and the idea of a loss is like heartbreaking. So you're going to look at some other examples, and again, you have another metaphor where Flynn preceded Casey, as did also Jimmy Blake, and the former was a hoodoo, while the latter was a cake. And if you look at lines 9 and 10, you can see that a hoodoo is someone who brings bad luck, and you can probably look at the connotation of the word cake and think that, oh, that's not a very positive connotation. Again, kind of showing to the hope of that. Then you have a hyperbole, an exaggeration. How does that help? You have a simile about people roaring like the waves. And then also there's irony, what was expected versus what really happened. And so again, you're going to think about how does that impact the story. I want you to go ahead and try that. And again, kind of depending on what the day is like with the sub, maybe you can turn and talk or go over some of these together. But I want you to again be kind of considerate of how an author would use figurative language and why and how that helps you get a better understanding and the impact of the story. The last section is where you're going to pick which piece of figurative language most help you understand the story or a character. You can pick the quote, tell me what type of figurative language, and then explain to me how that helped you. And that will be the last thing with Casey at the Bat today. Remember, be good, keep working hard. I'll be back tomorrow with a whole new set of videos and a whole new set of terrible jokes because there's kind of like 3 lessons. So we'll call this out number 1 as we finish for today. And I will see you tomorrow for a new round or a new inning. I could use an inning analogy. Anyway, I digress. I'll see you tomorrow. Be good, finish up the figurative language, and stay tuned. Bye.